A very good evening to you. Welcome along to another Sweet and Swing here on Mike's Radio. My name's Howard Kane, of course, and as always, a pleasure to have your company. What have we this evening? A bit of Bix, perhaps. Bix Beiderbecke, that is. More from the Great British Experience. Another little mini-series, some themes of the big bands. We did that a year or two back, but some more. To get us going, though, here's Benny and the boys, Out in That Moon Glow. Great tune and beautifully played there, of course, as you would expect, by the wonderful Benny Goodman and his band Moon Glow. There's been some good moons of late. on the Isle of Man and around the British Isles. I think the supermoons, they all seem to have different names, and I can't remember any of them. I can only remember things like Blue Moon and Harvest Moon, but the Strawberry Moon, isn't there, and something else moon. And there was one quite recently, which I did go out and see, which was very bright and slightly larger than usual. I wouldn't say it was incredible, but it was certainly spectacular. But frankly, a full moon on a clear starry night is always spectacular, isn't it? Even if it does appear a bit bigger. I can't remember what was special about the last one, but I did see it and pondered for a while. And particularly as it appears we're going back. I don't mean me or Makes Radio, but mankind, courtesy of the Artemis missions, I believe, going back to the moon in the foreseeable future, all things being equal, in the next year or two, I think, for the first time since Apollo, what was the last one? 17, 18, was it? I lose track now. Back in the 1970s, it would be early 70s, or a long time. So, interesting. Will we get to Mars before I depart for pastures new? I suspect not. If you're in the same boat, well, I can only suggest you can come along to the Cathedral in Peel in February, where there will be a Mars suspended from the ceiling. If you're a fan of the moon and the earth, the Gaia exhibition and the wonderful moon, which was the moon was hung from the rafters, wasn't it, at the cathedral? And then I think it was earth was suspended in the rafters, or at least in the main body of the church of St. Thomas's. Wonderful things they were, with musical soundtracks and thoughts aplenty, and you could stare and ponder and listen, and there were concerts under those. And I think it's going to be the same with Mars. I think it's the 7th of February. You can look online to check it out. But I know I'll be down there with the shanties, and a specially composed Mars shanty, among other things. Look forward to that, it has to be said. In the meantime, yes, we'll think about getting to Mars further afield. For the time being, though, why don't we just face the music and dance?
There may be trouble ahead, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance.
Let's face the music
Before the fiddlers have fled, before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have the chance, let's face the music and dance. Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune, and there may be teardrops to shed. So while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. Let's face the music and dance. Let's face the music and dance.
Let's face the music
Before the fiddlers have fled, before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have the chance, let's face the music and dance. Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune, and there may be teardrops to shed. So while there's moonlight and music and love and
Sam Browne in 1936 with Irving Berlin's classic, that is, of course, Let's Face the Music and Dance, and the harmony there provided by the Rhythm Sisters. Now then, I've heard of the Rhythm Sisters, but I must admit I couldn't think much more of them, so in one of those little joys, you know, you get a little joy during the day sometimes, don't you? You just think, isn't that wonderful? It's a something and nothing moment, but you just feel good for a second. And so I turned to the Bible on such matters, the second book of British dance bands, singers and smaller bands. Just opened it at random, and would you believe, it opened on the exact page for the Rhythm Sisters, including a photograph, a fine photograph of the three of them in front of an old-fashioned mic, all wearing 1930s garb, complete with wonderful hats as well, and brooches and all the sort of accoutrement which went with the fashion of that time, which is vaguely coming back, I think. I sometimes see sort of 30s fashion going around. It was quite stylish, with the slightly troubling moniker underneath saying the Rhythm Sisters changed personnel several times. This picture in 1935 shows the ill-fated Jean Conybeare, Helen Raymond and founder Kay Munro Smith. Ill-fated, it never sounds good, does it? And indeed it's not a happy story, sadly, for Jean. So they were indeed founded in the early 30s by Kay, as we heard, and featured initially with fellow Glaswegians Bertie Shaw and May Munn, Billy Munn's younger sister, later replaced in 1933 by Scott's sisters Betty and Teresa Dale, and then 2 years later they were in turn succeeded by Helen Raymond and then Jean Conybeare, and that went well until, and here's the sad part, sadly, Jean was killed driving her own car, an accident which also involved Kay and Pat Taylor of the Eight Sisters, but they escaped relatively unscathed. And then, well, as often the case, after such a traumatic event, Helen decided to go solo. Kay selected two new partners then, 20-year-old Vicky Roberts and 23-year-old Isabel March. But unfortunately, they were singing with Geraldo at the time, and he didn't like Isabel's voice. Well, he was very clear in his opinions, and that was the way it worked in those days. So a month later, she was basically pushed out and succeeded by Mavis Edmonds. And then occasionally, the Dale sisters augmented the group to 5, but by the time the 1937 films Around the Town and Feather Your Nest, a George Formby classic, folks, were made, the group was back to 3 again, in the form of Kay, Mavis, and the interestingly named Thressa. It's like an abbreviation of Teresa. Incredible, really, isn't it? It's sort of, well, you just always think somehow or other it's so genteel when you went in the 20s and 30s, and maybe it was in certain areas, but business was business and music was music, and it was still pretty cutthroat stuff. And, you know, well, sorry, you don't fit the bill, bye. That was the way it worked. A bit of Bix. It literally, again, fell out of the bag as I opened this morning. Bixology, an anthology of Bix Beiderbecke, and you'll do no better than Jazz Me Blues.
If I had a ribbon bow to tie my hair and a gown of calico that I could wear, I'd surely get a sweetheart, a prince or a king, a palace home where I would have everything. If I had a ribbon bow to tie my hair, this old world could come and go, I wouldn't care. I'd stay up in my castle and I'd always wear a ribbon bow so fine to tie my hair all the livelong day. To the Lord above me, all I do is pray for someone to love me. If I had a ribbon bow all nice and clean, I could be a princess or a fairy queen. Prince Charming then would court me, his love he would swear. If I had a ribbon bow to tie my hair. There's a story of a girl, a story seldom told. What she wanted from this world was not of gems or gold. Her wishes were quite plain, as you will see. For often she would simply make this plea all the livelong day. To the Lord above me, all I do is pray for someone to love me. If I had a ribbon bow all nice and clean, I could be a princess or a fairy queen. Prince Charming then would court me, his love he would swear. If I had a ribbon bow, a pretty little ribbon bow, Prince Charming then would court me, his love he would swear. If I had a ribbon bow to tie my hair.
Wonderful voice of Maxine Sullivan at If I Had a Ribbon Bow. Great track that. Really enjoy that. Really enjoy that. It's a favourite of mine, and I hope of yours too. Some of you, in any case. If you've got a favourite you hadn't heard for a long time, drop me a line. Why not? Always happy to oblige if we can. Dead easy. Howard Kane with an E. Without an E, it's not going to get to me. Howard Kane with an E, all one word, at manxradio.com. And any thoughts or perhaps a request, something you'd like to hear, a band featured or a little idea for a mini-series or anything along those lines. Be lovely to hear from you, as always. And it is nice to get the odd email or the odd connection just to hear how people are enjoying it. And I'm happy to say we do from time to time, which is very nice. And I know there's quite a few regulars out there who listen either live or often on the podcast, which is the way broadcasting is going, I guess, isn't it? Gone are the days that we have to think, oh, goodness me, my favourite programme's on at such and such a time. I need to make a cup of tea and sit down and listen to it. Now, you don't even have to record it onto cassette, as was the case for so many years, for people of my generation anyway. No, you can access it anytime you want, which is indeed the case with Sweet and Swing and its sister programme Jumping In, and indeed all of the specialist music programmes on Meg's Radio, and I commend them to you all, depending on what your preference is. So Monday, Time for Brass, of course, with Ian Cottier. Tuesday, The Wonderful Folk Show with John Barker. Wednesday sees a real mix of stuff there. At the moment, it is Andy Wint out on those country roads. He loves his country music, and wonderful. If you're a fan of country music, that's the one to go to. Even if you're not, you might find something you like. And Andy oscillates or varies or he and Ernie Thorne take it in turns in 6-week blocks. So in a couple of weeks' time, Andy will be finishing his current stint of country roads, and Ernie Thorne will be back with Ernie's Eclectic, which is exactly what it says, a selection of some of Ernie's favourite music from outside his core territory of opera, which is his major love, of course. But he's got very Catholic tastes in music as Ernie, and you'll hear more if you listen to Ernie's Eclectic starting in a couple of weeks. I think the 28th of January is the first one of those. Thursday, of course, sees Maurice Powell with a little light music, and I know Maurice hasn't been in the best of health of late, but I'm glad to say he is recovering and feeling better, so our best wishes to Maurice, and I hope he will be in full health again and firing on all cylinders with baton in hand in the very near future. And then Friday, of course, here we are, Sweet and Swing, alternating with our sister programme Jumpin' In, which concentrates on the best in modern and contemporary jazz. Very different, but I commend them to you all. So yeah, give them a whiz. Why not? And before Maxine Bix Beiderbecke, one of those, again, tragic heroes, if that's the right phrase, but another sort of character who just was doomed almost to sort of self-destruction, as often the case. A wonderful musician, a fine player, but dogged with, I think, depression and alcoholism, and that's what finished his career far too young, but a wonderful recorded legacy left behind us. An awful lot of it recorded in 1927, many of his masterpieces there recorded, Singing the Blues, I'm Coming Virginia, For No Reason at All, In a Mist, Royal Garden Blues, and indeed what we just heard there, Jazz Me Blues from 1927, but died far too young, it has to be said. Right, now then, I did say we had a new little mini-series. We did this a while back. Oh, I don't know. Year, 2 years, 3 years. Who knows? Unless you've got them all carefully catalogued. I have, but you know what? It's not worth going back, is it? We're songs are having a bit of fun. Drifting and Dreaming, this is the themes of the big band. So there are 2 volumes, so I thought we'd try one of the other volumes. And it is exactly that. I'm going to play you a tune. It is a theme of a big band of note. All you have to do is tell me who the big band was. Easy enough, isn't it? Just a bit of fun. But if anyone can be bothered to ping in, well, I might find you a Mike's Radio mug if you're on the Isle of Man, and you fancy a Mike's Radio mug to listen to Sweet and Swing and have your cocoa in. Why not? But it's more for the sheer joy of listening and saying, I know who that is. So do you? Do you know who this is?
It's dancing time, the clock says 10. Won't you say when? I'm ready, go steady when we begin. The time is right, I think we might just chance it and dance it away tonight. My time is your time is my time. We just seem to synchronize and sympathize. We're harmonizing 1 steps and 2 steps, old steps and new steps. There's no time like our time, and no one like you.
There you go. Great track. You probably might be able to guess what it was called, but whose theme was it? I'm not going to tell you now. I'll tell you at the next programme. I'll give you some clues. It was a popular Depression-era heartthrob and vocalist, born in Vermont, a sax player, clarinetist, composer, singer, and actor. His professional musical name was not his real name. He borrowed his name and playing style from another sax ace, whose surname was Wiedoeft. And he led a band at the New York Hey Ho Club, where his subsequent radio catchphrase came from. Hey ho, everybody! Think I might adopt that myself. Enough clues. If you think you know, well, you can email me, Howard Kane, with an E at maxradio.com. And if you do and you get it right, then the first one I see, if you're on the Alaban, I'll get you a Max Radio mug. Hey, come on. You don't get something for nothing these days. A Max Radio mug. What more could you want? Well, I can think of one or two things. But anyway, never say no. Give it a whiz. Howard Kane with an E at maxradio.com. And even if you don't, I'll tell you next week or next programme who it was. Lovely. Now, before you know it, this is going to be upon us. It means slightly less the older you get, I feel, but nonetheless, the sentiment's still there, isn't it? Whether you've been married for a long time or still searching for love. My Funny Valentine. It'll be here before you know it, for what it's worth. It's always worth a great deal when you're very young, or in your teens or such like, and then as you get a bit older, it never seems to be worth quite as much. Or maybe that's just because I'm not much of a romantic. My Funny Valentine, of course, brought to us there by Stan Getz and J.J. Johnson, the trombone player at the Opera House. Is the album. I think it's just called At the Opera House. It is indeed. It's one of those albums which says it is what it says on the cover. Stan Getz and J.J. Johnson at the Opera House. No messing around with any other fancy titles. With a all-star lineup, Stan, of course, on tenor, JJ on trombone, Oscar Peterson, the wonderful Oscar Peterson on piano, the equally wonderful Herb Ellis on guitar, Ray Browne on bass, so that's basically the Oscar Peterson trio for quite a few years, and then Connie Kay, who of course also played or went on to play, I think, with the Modern Jazz Quartet. That was 1957. I don't know when he joined the Modern Jazz Quartet, but wonderful drummer in any case. And we're told this mono recording, did you notice that, was recorded at the Shrine Auditorium, LA, but the album retained its original title at the Opera House. No, I'm not going to argue with that. Sounds good in any case. You're listening, of course, to Sweet and Swing with myself, H. Lovely to have your company as always. Don't forget, next week it will be jumping in with brother Chris, looking at our second tranche of our favourite tracks and albums from 2025. I think Chris spent about 3 weeks trying to whittle down his list of 4,000 to 8. I didn't take quite as long, but there's some wonderful stuff, it has to be said, kicking around, either on the major labels or an awful lot of the case. Again, Chris is specialising these days in doing lots of Bandcamp and digital releases, which, frankly, unless you were a fan, you'd probably never hear. And so it's your chance to do that. And then if you like their music, you can go out and access it. And Bandcamp is usually a good way of doing it because the musicians do get a decent whack from it, unlike some of the streaming services in which jazz musicians, I think, just don't benefit from whatsoever. But we're not going to go into that. We're not going to go into that in detail now. Hardly the time or the place, is it? We've got music, good music to be listening to. Now then, have you got a pair of these in your house? I hope so.
Happy feet, I've got those happy feet. Give them a low-down beat, and they begin dancing. I've got those 10 little tapping toes, and when they hear a tune, I can't control my dancing heels to save my soul. Weary blues can't get into my shoes, because my shoes refuse to ever grow weary. I keep cheerful on an earful of music sweet, 'cause I've got happy feet.
It'll soon be here, we like to think. A spring note. On a spring note, that was. And, yeah, spring on the one hand, it seems an awfully long way away. On the other hand, it seems to have arrived already. Certainly in my garden, I don't know. I've got daffodils in bud and will certainly be in flower within the next 2 or 3 weeks. Easily, long before February's out. And snowdrops, plenty of snowdrops out already. And other buds sort of bursting. And it seems very early. You think we're, just beyond halfway through January. Does seem early, doesn't it? Spring, when's the meteorological, I can't even say it, meteorological spring start? I don't know, it's later than I think. I always basically think spring must start on the 1st of March, because clearly winter consists of, or at least summer I should say, doesn't it? Summer must consist of June, July and August. Therefore, autumn must consist of September, October, November. So winter then is December, January, February. So the 1st of March must be spring. Is that the way it works? It is in my house. It doesn't seem to be that good on the Isle of Man when March often sees snow and goodness knows what. But anyway, we shall see. On a spring note that was, and I could be nicking that from Morris on a Thursday. Sidney Torch it was, one of Britain's top cinema organists during the 30s. And then after the war, he turned his attention to light music and composed a steady stream of very catchy melodies, just like that one, heard around the world. And in 1953, he devised something which is still to be heard to this day. Now, would you believe, on Radio 3, Friday night is Music Night, in which he regularly conducted the BBC's concert orchestra for almost 20 years. Wow. And that one, Spring Note, typical of his genre. They are light, bouncy, memorable, tuneful, good melody. Happy creations, many of which he recorded during a long spell with EMI's Parlophone label. And if you want more of that, I recommend A Little Light Music with Morris Powell on a Thursday. Fits nicely into the sweet part of Sweet and Swing, but equally a fine fit into Morris's genre as well. Here's one we've dipped into, in and out of. It's still in the bag for the last, since certainly before Christmas, back end of last year. The duo of Frank Sinatra and Jimmy Durante. Songs by Sinatra and radio shows from 1946 featuring a host of other names. Let's hear a bit of Jimmy with Put Your Dreams Away.
As a few of you may know, goes something like this. Put your dreams away for another day. Soft, soft. And I will take their place in your heart. Soft, soft. Wishing on a star never got you far. Stop the music, stop the music. The verse is in a mighty good verse tonight, don't you think? Thanks again, Jimmy Durante, and good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
When your hand reaches for a fresh log for the fire and the snow is making in the dark horizon, when it's good to hunch down in that easy chair and let your thoughts wander, it's good to walk some old familiar path with an understanding friend, an old standby that shares good memories with you, like this one. Embrace me, my sweet embraceable you. Embrace me, my silk and laceable you. I'm in love with you, I am, and verily so. but you're much too shy, unnecessarily so. I love all the many charms about you. Above all, I want my arms about you. Don't be a naughty baby. Come to Papa, do. My sweet, embraceable you. I love all. I thought you'd gone home. The many charms about you. Above all, I want these arms about you. So don't be a naughty baby. Come to Papa, do. My sweet, embraceable
Just listen to those girls scream at a young Frank Sinatra, just like they did at the Beatles and goodness knows, Rolling Stones and all the rest of them. Don't know if they threw anything, but they were certainly screaming, and who can blame them? What a voice, and a pretty good-looking young chap as well. Before that, Jimmy Durante. Don't know if they screamed at him in the same way, but they used to laugh an awful lot at him. And I think he might have... I don't know if he did any serious songs as such, but it all sort of starts off and then usually goes into comedy rather quickly. A little bit from 1946, Frank and Jimmy Durante. Oh, gosh, we're almost there, you know. There's an extra minute to enjoy. 57 minutes now, I think these programmes run. Isn't that wonderful? You get an extra minute, which means I can probably squeeze in a little bit of this.
are sleeping, when evening shadows softly fall, home sends to me a tender call. Sing me a song of home, sweet home, the sweetest song of all.
Oh, very sweet and sentimental. Sing Me a Song of Home, Sweet Home. The new Mayfair Dance Orchestra with a George Scott Wood. It was HMV Studio House Band, new signifying its revival in late 1928. Its earlier version, the Mayfair Dance Orchestra, lasted from 1912 to 1920. Mayfair, of course, then as now, the most glamorous part of London, although the musicians were drawn from the bands that played all over London's West End. The dance orchestra, a little bit misleading, it implied sort of live performances. Not the case though, because this band came into being solely for recording purposes as and when required. So you could dance to them, but they weren't actually a dance band. In the mid-1930s, the Glaswegian George Scott Wood picked up the baton and directed 5 sessions during the remainder of the year, and that was one of them. The unashamedly sentimental Sing Me a Song of Home, Sweet Home, featuring the 3 Jinxes as well, doing the harmony parts in the background. And very nicely too. That's about it for this week's Sweet and Swing. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Howard Kane at maxradio.com if you'd like to drop me a line. Love to hear from you. Jumping in next week. I'll see you the week after that. Look after yourselves. Cheerio.